Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Sitton Football Uncensored podcast with me, Joe Mealing, as always, asking the questions. We're here on the day after quite a monumental day in England football's history, where we lost last night to Italy on penalties in the final of the European Championships, as everyone I'm sure knows. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. But before I start, I just want to say over the last few weeks, we've had some absolutely fantastic feedback from our followers and subscribers, or John's followers and subscribers, really, on YouTube. And really, it was just on behalf of both of us, and maybe John can say his piece afterwards, but just to say to everyone, it's been a fantastic Euros, and we've managed to get some podcasts out, and the feedback's been absolutely amazing, and comments been fantastic on YouTube, and we've had some really good support, and it seems like a lot of you guys love what we're doing and what we're producing, and to see the interaction with you guys and the messages we're getting is just fantastic. So just wanted to say on my behalf that I really appreciate it. John, I don't know if you got anything to add on that.
Yeah, no, I totally endorse what you said. Seconded. Yeah, what I endeavour to do, Joe, is when, particularly if I've got the time, if I'm not driving, if I'm not out in the cab, and I'm not busy during the day, like I was yesterday in the build up to the game. I mean, I always endeavour to get back to people and thank them on behalf of both of us for their feedback and their positivity. So long may it continue, and let's hope we build it up.
Yeah, let's keep. Yeah, exactly. Keep going, and the good thing is, I guess, that the new season's not too far away, and then at the back end of the next season, you've got the World Cup. So we've got a lot of stuff to be talking about, haven't we? It never ends. It's a really exciting period. But on that note, very disappointing result. But we'd obviously, I've been talking to you for the last couple of weeks, and you've been very considered in your response. So I think it's fair to say you haven't kind of got caught up in the wave of euphoria. So with that in mind, how did you think the game went? What was your assessment of it in general?
You ain't going to believe before I come on and joined up with you. My wife said, don't be angry, don't be smug. I was telling her about an interview I did earlier for a guy who's doing a book on mental health in football. And he said, you're probably the best known example of pressure on a manager and its outcome, because it's there for all to see still. So basically, I've got to go along with what she said, although she said to me, you're getting more and more animated as I was talking about the interview and about this possible podcast. I said a week before a ball was kicked Italy, and then I was conflicted because your art wants England to do well. Although deep down I knew, even when we took the lead, and this is going to sound a bit smug, I knew that I didn't think we quite had enough to see it through. Although I remained sort of cautiously optimistic, because I believed, Joe, then, 34 years ago, and I believe now, 34 years ago being when I started to take my badges, it's a cultural thing. It's a cultural thing. And I was told when I left by a junior player who was on my side and who I brought through the ranks, who I had a rapport and a relationship with. I was actually ridiculed by a couple of senior pros at Leyton Orient. I was right then, and I'm right now. It's a cultural thing, and I fancied Italy way back when, and I think I was vindicated.
Yeah. I was remiss to say that, because you did from day one, and they squeaked it. They squeaked it on penalties. And when you say cultural thing, can you explain that in a bit more detail? Is it just from my thinking? Is that just a failure to get something over the line? It's almost like that horse that's really good and can never get his nose in front.
I've got no graphics. I've got this is my family home. It's a studio. I'm not computer literate. I can't replay it. I can't relay it. I can't show you.
Mm.
I can only store it in my memory.
Yeah.
And one classic example, actually two, maybe no, if there's three that just go boom, 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 straight off the top of my head. One is I totally endorse and agree with what Ian Wright said. When we took the lead 1-0, it's almost as if we was like shocked and surprised that we took the lead 1-0. We took our foot off the gas. We stopped applying pressure. Okay. That led to part two, where the Italians slowly but surely got a stranglehold on the game. As a consequence of slowly but surely playing their way into the game, getting a stranglehold on it by what I called Malcolm X, by any means necessary. Fucking good luck to them. I love them for it. I love them for it. Like I said on the last podcast, oh, dear boy, that's not cricket. And I said, fuck cricket. I want to win, right? And as a consequence of that, the Geordie coaching guru, or whatever he is, he's up at Newcastle, the fucking coaching messiah. He comes and he says something to Gareth Southgate, and Gareth Southgate changed our shape and our game plan, which he should never, ever have done in a million years. Because to begin with, we gave Italy marking problems. We done what I said we should do, or part of what I said we should do, which is shift the ball into the middle tranche and then go from side to side to engage our wing backs and keep their full backs pushed back. Once we've got them pushed back, we've got to pull them narrow, which led to our goal. But he's coming in. I've got a feeling, Joe, I don't know, because we're not privy to it. We're not privy to what's said. I can't lip read. We haven't got the benefit of microphones or replays. Like I said, there's no studio here. There's no graphics. There's no dotted lines where I could say he should have gone here, he should have gone there. But when the guy came out, he started going like this. What I got a feeling he was saying was Italy's, if you go right from left, I think it was 10-8-6. Right, so they played 4-3-3. Which was it's been a little bit en vogue for a while now, particularly with countries like Italy and Italian coaches like Conte, who brought it to Chelsea, right, when he joined. But I think I'm right in saying that was possibly it.
Yeah,
and
I'm looking at it now, by the way.
Well,
so yeah, I can
I ain't got none of that.
I
I ain't got none of that, and I ain't got a clue what to press on this keyboard. My wife or my son sets all this up for me. Right, before and all I have to do is do the mouse to click on to join you. You understand? And maybe that's remiss of me. Maybe I shouldn't have concentrated on 5.5 years on getting a PhD, known as the topographical knowledge of London, and I should have been going to classes to be computer literate. I don't know. But sticking to specifics, I got a feeling it was that. And consequently, I said what Italy would try and do, they would try and engage the area involving Rice and Phillips, who I think they were both outstanding, and then gang up and get a 3v2 against them to get a bit of joy. Right, so when they come narrow, right, and they get a bit of joy, and then maybe a forward drops deep, that engages the centre backs, and then the full backs are thinking, well, do I cover my centre back or do I push in and help make a third player in midfield alongside Rice and Phillips? That means it releases the Italian fullbacks, right? So they evolve from 4-3-3 into 3-3-4, right? Which was done at Chelsea quite a lot by Conte, and then it was carried on by Frank. And like I said, I was very disappointed when I see him lose 1-0 under West Ham, where there was only one pattern to play. Lastly, people are going to go, you know what? This geezer is off of his fucking nut. He's, I'm going to say, so what? It's like I said to the geezer earlier, when he was asking me about not getting back in the pro game and where did you go from there and what did you do from there? And I just said, well, I went from one extreme to the other. A complete social animal, out 4 or 5 nights a week as a player and as a young coach, to just wanting to be at home with my wife and 3 young children. And then when things started to go my way, like my wife said, you changed a bit and you got a little bit arrogant and away with the fairies. And I said, as a consequence, I haven't really done enough networking because all the jobs are given out over a game of golf and half a lager, right? So people are going to think I'm totally deluded because really the only football I worked in was non-league football when I come out of the pro game, because he mentioned the thing about getting turned down for Charlton, right? Youth team job. So I talked to him for all that. What I'm going to say is, and people are going to think I'm off me nut and I'm deluded, but it's happened too many times. I've seen it too many times at club and international level. And I'll put part of the blame for Italy's goal down to Harry Kane. I think he had a very mediocre tournament. I thought he was a lumbering lummox who basically jogged everywhere, nothing explosive. But like, again, sticking to specifics and without getting personal, but that would be my criticism of him. He done everything okay. He'd done everything okay. I said for Qatar, we're going to need another centre forward. That's my opinion. Because and then someone said, well, Harry will be, I said he'll be nearly 30. So I don't see him getting any quicker. I don't see him having any more guile or being any more explosive. And it's been shown that he can be driven backwards, and it's been shown that he can be out-muscled and out-thing. Although, to be fair to him, last night he did win, after my criticisms, he did win a few more flick-ons in the air for someone who's 6'3", 6'4", whatever he is. I've never met him. I've only met his mum and dad. But the bottom line is, and it ties in with my theories on coaching and the syllabus and the FA and the lack of education and preparation in coaches. So as a consequence of that in coaches, it's going to reflect in the players. He was in absolutely no man's land, doing nothing for no one when the corner was delivered. He was in and around the vicinity of the near post, and he was sort of looking round, trying to look busy and who can I screen and where should I be? But you could basically do like a 6-yard square around him, and consequently he wasn't going to affect in any shape or form the delivery. So that would mean, like I used to, particularly at places like Gillingham, where Paul Taylor used to say, you do the bit of the near, because he used to do his Bob Paisley impersonation. And you take care of the doings and take care of the mister there, because you've got good spring and no specifics. I had to work it out for myself. And then I worked out, don't start off the byline, start on the byline, because if I start off the byline, I could get a nudge as I'm about to make contact and it could go out for another corner. So I always coached players what I thought of myself, which is start right on the line and then drop back right on the toes of the person they're trying to hit from the near post for the near post flick on, right? Consequently, you can only go one way. That's from the byline, and you can you're heading it back into the game. You're heading it outfield. You understand? You're not heading it off for another corner. You're clearing it, right? It didn't affect anyone. So then you got the flick on, then you got the scramble, the melee, the shot, the fantastic save by Pickford, and then the follow-up by Bonucci. But it can all be traced back to killing it at source, as I used to say as a coach. Kill it at source.
Yeah, nip it in the bud. It's interesting you pointed that out, because I didn't notice that necessarily. But I noticed that Mount got out-muscled by Verratti, who's smaller than him, for the header that Pickford saved. I thought Mount was out-muscled. It was men against boys with him, I thought, for the whole game.
Yeah, a few times. Yeah. Everyone's raving about him. But we give it time. He gets stronger. And he'll get better, and like the rest of them, some of them he'll learn from the experience. But as many pluses, see, it's your job. I'm looking at, like you and a few others, I'm looking at it as an England fan. I'm looking at it as entertainment, but I'm also looking at it through the eyes of a player, ex-player and coach. So I'm looking at these things. He shouldn't be there. He's not going to affect the delivery. He shouldn't be there. He's marking the wrong side. He shouldn't be there. He's going to make first contact. The Italian's going to make first contact, etc., etc., etc. So, like I said, it ties in with my theories on coaching, coach education, and as a consequence, player education and syllabus.
I mean, I guess
I've been saying it for too long. That's the problem, and I'm not getting paid for it.
Yeah, I mean, is it fair to say it was a positive tournament just in general? And that we are developing and are on the right path?
Yeah, it's fair to say that. But it's also fair to say, it's fair to ask, who did we beat? You understand? You've got a Germany in decline, a Denmark who you should beat. All due respect to them. But I was reading the article, because I'm catching up on the papers, because I've got up and got out. I've either done the gardening. I mean, dare I say it, I was one of the most up and coming coaches in my age group, in my era. among my peers, and my build up to yesterday's game was gardening. So from a self-promotion point of view, which I've never done before, it's disgraceful, despicable, disgusting. It's fucking, it should never, all because I threw in a few fucks and cunts. What's that about? You know what I mean? And I've seen managers have fights and chin people and fucking throw plates of sandwiches and all the rest of it. So what did I do that was so wrong when I had so much to offer? But anyway, we move on. And then, like you say, is it fair to say it's a step in the right direction? It was a good tournament's progress. Yeah, it is fair to say that.
Yeah.
But it's also fair to say, I think you've got to look, what can we do better?
Well, exactly. And because obviously, you know, following on from your comment about, you know, your preparation as an ex-pro, like, you know, manager and player who should have been in the game and isn't, and therefore your prep was the gardening. You know, with this sort of platform, and obviously you've nailed a lot of things previously in the last few podcasts, not just from the Euros, but previously when we was doing the Premier League stuff. What would what in terms of how we can learn from the game, and more specifically, how can Gareth Southgate learn, because he's still a young manager?
Yeah.
What's the takeaways? What's the, you know, you said last podcast, which was
my personal takeaway would be money. My personal takeaway would be money. I'll tell you, it ties in with an article, a double-page spread article that I read about Denmark, which was all like, oh, look how marvellous they are, and they're going to be a tough nut to crack. And all they did, it was very simple. They went away and they got beat by the USA years ago, and the geezer went into one a little bit. They got a word for it, so it's a little bit how I was, and it's the Danish word for a no-nonsense bollocking. This can't happen again. This mustn't happen again. We've got to change things. And then what he did, he got like-minded coaches, one of whom is at Brentford, and they sat down with some proper, like, old school sort out with regards to brainstorming, and put some ideas down on the table, and then they took their national game on from there. So what he's got to do is, which he probably will do, he'll put feelers out. Holland will put feelers out, and they'll do like little in-house, you know, debrief. When the dust settles, they'll go away, they'll come back, they'll have their break, then they'll have a debrief, or they might have the debrief, then go away. That's the order I'd do it in.
Okay, so that's the sort of more macro stuff. But let's say specifically in the game, what could Southgate have done better? What were his errors, and or did he make any errors? If so, what were they?
Yeah, I thought we made quite a few errors. Yeah, I thought we made quite a few errors. The first one we got right in the last podcast, barring one player. Right? As in, we called the right formation, 5 at the back, three centre backs, 2 screening midfield players who had they've played their way into the England side as permanent fixtures now, Rice and Phillips. Okay, but then it's the front 3, and I was shocked when I never saw someone who could threaten Italy's back line. The way you get through someone, the way you get an overload, the way you create chances is for either passing and movement or dribbling or trickery. I don't think Mason Mount comes into any of those categories. And I said, I'll do right. And people coming back at me, you know, like, you're ex-Chelsea, he's Chelsea on Twitter. And I said, yeah, I know, that's right. And I think don't you think he's a good player? I do think he's a good player. But I don't think he had a good enough tournament. I thought he was at best mediocre, I think. But in his defence, I think he suffered just pressing, and a high tempo work rate is not enough.
No.
If we're talking dead balls, I said, so what did they leave Ward-Prowse at home for? Right? And you don't play for dead balls against Italy. They've been defending it since they were under 9. Do you know what I mean? They're the past masters at it. That's so right. I couldn't make out. I thought that was his first error, playing Mount, if I'm honest and truthful.
Well, it's a defensive role, isn't it? He's played him almost as, it's almost like 3 defensive midfielders. Only one's more advanced in Mount.
Right. Then let me tell you. Then why not say? Why have the geezer come out and say and start doing all this? Right. Go for a rigid 5-3-2, right? That then evolves into 3-5-2, or that can then evolve into 3-4-3, right? have a rigid there man for man against Italy's 3-man midfield. You can't afford at that level, at any level, to be like halvesy. You're either all in or you're all out.
Interesting.
You can't have 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And then,
just on that, sorry, I know you've got another thought in your head there, but that fascinates me. That point, someone as a layman, why can't you have 1 foot in, 1 foot out on that? Because that's a really interesting tactical point. Because I've been debating it and why Mount plays, why Grealish don't play. Presumably, you don't trust Grealish tactically, i.e., defensively. But yeah, do you know what I mean? How can you? But surely he wants Mount to also try and create, but he can't. He does seem to be either one or the other.
I don't think he's a particularly creative player. I mean, no. he hits like the odd, what you call like sort of $1 million ball for Chelsea. He's hit a cut of odd $1 million balls for England, but he doesn't do it on an out and out consistent basis. He don't put a spring in Harry's step like Grealish does when he comes on. So listen, I'd have thought that if you're gonna do that, you get someone maybe who can threaten Italy's back line a bit better as the third man. And I don't think it was Mounts, because obviously you've got Kane and Sterling, and I think the third one should have been somebody else. I thought the third one should have been Sancho or Saka or Rashford. All of them have got attributes that would have done more damage than Mount, put it that way.
Yeah.
And I thought he'd have got hooked after 65. I said on Twitter, 65, 70 minutes. It didn't. It was left far too late.
Not 99.
It's far too late. Far too late. Yeah, far too late.
And just interestingly, just to remind you, because I've just got the match report up here. So Mancini made his first sub in the 54th minute, second sub in the 55th. So he made 2 subs, and then they scored in the 67th minute. And then
what did they do after they scored? Can you remember?
Well, I know what England done after they scored, because Saka come on, and they went to 4-4-2.
Too late. It was too late.
Yeah, which is already conceded. Yeah.
And Grealish, I think he was given 22 minutes. Too little, too late.
Well, yeah, exactly. Come on in 99 minutes. You come on 10 minutes into extra time.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I mean, where's his thinking there?
You asked about the errors, right? Soon as Italy scored, right, that's when you've got to take the sting out of the game, and you've got to build your way back into it, or create an immediate goal threat, right? But England never. What happened was Italy pinched the ball back from us, from our kickoff, and they did what I was ridiculed for, right, at a borderline non-league club, Leyton Orient. I said, as soon as you score, as soon as you equalise, pinch the ball back. It was like a pet hate of mine. You've got to swarm all over them, press, which we had a defensive strategy, swarm all over them, so they think it's a new phenomenon, pressing from the front, but I can assure you it ain't, right? Pinch the ball back, and then what you do immediately is bed it into your attacking third, their defensive third, and push them back and see if there's another mistake in them. You've got to ask questions, and that's what Italy did. And I remarked on Twitter, look at their habits. Different gear, different class, on another football IQ plane, intellectually altogether, because you're asking questions all the time. It's all about continual brain fucks. That's what I used to say to the kids. It's all about it's a brain fuck. You've got to give them a brain fuck to keep. You understand?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
When I say the kids, I meant my youth team. They're young men, so I'm not saying brain fucks to under 9s. So we get that straight, because I've got myself in enough trouble with the F-bomb, but I thought it was a wonderful thing to behold.
And okay, so with that, playing devil's advocate, much more experienced, much obviously older in terms of their average age. The managers are much more experienced / better manager than Southgate. You said you were impressed with Italy, but they squeaked it on penalties and didn't really threaten the England goal that much, other than a scramble goal. I mean,
have another look at it.
Chiesa appeared to be the only threat for me, and he went off.
I think you'll find they threatened our goal a lot more than we threatened theirs, and I think you'll find Pickford made more saves than their goalkeeper did.
Well, I agree.
I think what I'm trying to say, Joe, is it shouldn't have come to that.
No.
What I'm trying to say is it shouldn't have come to that. It shouldn't have come to penalties. And our education syllabus, etc., should get us to the stage where we've got things in more under control.
Yeah,
you understand, rather than just like clinging on by our fingernails and then let's see if we can see out the 90, maybe nick another goal. No, there was like a. It's what I say about the black cab trade. The thing is, there's like a quality assurance. There was like a quality assurance about the Italians. You just fucking knew they was going to nick a goal. You know what I mean? And that's not being pessimistic or being a downer or being negative or being, like the dark cloud and it's going to float over. No, I'm just being realistic and pragmatic, born of bitter experience.
And it sounded. I mean, I was watching it thinking, well, it's Croatia all over again in 2018. You know, we go 1-0 up early, and then they find us out tactically, and we're waiting to lose.
Yeah. Basically. Well, what you've just done, you just reminded me. You asked him about Southgate's mistakes. He started making substitutions for the sake of penalty takers, and me personally, I was highly delighted that they said about there was an exchange of words in inverted commas between Trippier and Southgate on the touchline. He weren't happy being bought off. Well, I'll make him right for two reasons. One, we disturbed our shape and our tactical setup, right, to accommodate the Italians, right? Sure, I've spoken numerous times, and we're getting better at that with regards to tactical adaptability of players and coaches and managers. So he's down as head coach. He's really the manager because he's got more fucking coaches around him than a UN delegation. But going back to Croatia, why would you take a geezer off who can bend the ball in the top corner and give us a 1-0 lead in the World Cup semi-final, but you don't trust him with a penalty from 12 yards? That's what I'm thinking today. That to me defies logic. If you can trust him with a dead ball from 25, 26, 27, 28 yards to whip it and bend it over a wall in the top corner, and everyone's diving on him in Russia, fucking World Cup semi-final, but you can't trust him from 12 yards, which I suspect, it was a double whammy. You've disturbed our shape, which I thought was fine to accommodate them, thinking you're going to give them a problem and a surprise, but quite clearly we never. And then also one of our best kickers of a dead ball. You know what I mean? So that's another one in a long list of mistakes. And then what you do, again, born of experience, me personally, I think it's your job as a coach and a manager to make the path as smooth as you possibly can, and pave the way for the least amount of pressure for a young player to perform in. So I wouldn't have put Mount in the side. I would have started with Sancho, bracket Saka. So if you want someone to dribble and threaten the back, knowing that Italy's first choice left back, I mean, I know the geezers are Chelsea and blah, 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 but the prior to that, one of their best players in a fantastic back four was their left back, and he got injured.
That's right, yeah.
And
Emerson ain't played all season, is it? I mean, fucking hell. He's nowhere near the Chelsea side.
Right, so let's get at him. Then when you start making the substitutions, this is our professional / thorough / cynical. I would say as they started to take they took fucking liberties with the game and took liberties with the ref, the Italians, which they're going to do. They're the governors at it, right? But everyone that got yellow carded, I'd have said to the likes of Grealish, Sancho, Saka, target those players.
Get them sent off.
Fuck them. They'd do it to us.
Yeah, and well, we said it, didn't we, in the podcast last time? The way to expose Chiellini and Bonucci is to drag them out into the deep waters, drag them out into the channels where they don't want to be. Saka did it once, and Chiellini ripped the shirt off his back, got booked because he was panicked, shit scared. Yeah, absolutely shit scared that he was going to concede a goal because he knew if Saka got away from him, he's never catching him.
That's right.
But it happened once in a game, and guess what? Chiellini got booked.
Yeah. So then what you do, you target everyone who's yellow carded. You know what I mean? And then you're screaming at your players, whoever it is, keep giving him the ball, and then you might take one, and then he gives it one of them, and the ref gives him the benefit of the doubt, but he won't give him the benefit of the doubt twice or a third time. And if they're down to 10 men, so what? It's no more professional than they would do to us.
No, and another thing you said about Southgate being sort of someone that could be in the SAS and he's a sort of cold-blooded killer and all that. I just thought I was reading up about, because he's obviously hasn't done much in terms of media discussion and interviews and stuff after the game, but he did say I think in his press conference that he's feels like his stomach's been kicked and he feels sick and he's completely fucked. And whilst he wants to take England to Qatar, he can't think about it at the moment. He needs some time to chill out, basically, because it's been such an emotional roller coaster. Is that just as an interest, just as a thought experiment? Is he too emotionally invested in it? Should he be like, we've done well, we've got to the first final in 55 years, we lost on penalties, a few mistakes happen, fuck it, move on, not a problem. This is what happens.
I agree 100% with what you just said. That's how I'd be. That's how I think I'd be. I'd say like it's progress. We went from the basically the embarrassment under Hodgson to a manager having one game to me, and we got to a semi-final of a World Cup. I learned personally from that experience, which I think he did, with regards to what I said about the tactical shake-up against Croatia. Yeah. There should have been a tactical shake-up. I think his staff should have got round him and they should have protected him and they should have said, this needs to happen. It's like, I've been through it all before. Harry's isolated. They've left him 2v1. Let's get the fullbacks pushed back by getting someone up there to join him. Let's get him pushed in, get Stones marking on the outside, get Walker helping Henderson, who's doing doggies side to side. Because their fullbacks pushed in and Croatia ended up sounding like 5v4 in the centre of the park. Literally took the piss out of us with a keep ball and turned the screw and won the game. Right, so he learned from that. Every game in a tournament is tantamount to a cup semi-final. So we've come through all them. So as in, like it's boom, you're out. As soon as you lose, you're out. Yeah. We got to the final, and then unfortunately, I think he made a cacophony of mistakes again. Right, but having said that, he's held his hands up to a few. One of them being the penalty, putting the kid up for the penalty. Which ties in what I said earlier. What you do is you protect youngsters for as long as you can, right? And if Grealish said, I'll have one, I'd have given it to him, right? He's come out on social media and someone's transferred it on my Twitter feed today. Yeah. And then to do with Sky News, he said the gaffer made so many great decisions during this tournament that I don't know what everyone's having a pop about. And they're having a pop, I'm paraphrasing, obviously, they're having a pop about me not. He said, I can telling you now, I wanted a penalty. I asked for a penalty. I said, I'll take a penalty. Yeah. And it was the gaffer's decision, and it turned out to be the wrong one. Well, that was his call. And then, like someone said, come and sit. It's easy with the benefit of hindsight. Yeah, you're right. It's easy with the benefit of hindsight. But he's paid not to make those mistakes. And he's no more kicked in the stomach than any other England supporter.
Yeah, I can read that out, actually, because what the quote from Keane was, if you're not Sterling or Grealish, if you're Sterling or Grealish, you cannot sit there and have a young kid go up for a penalty ahead of you. That's what he said. Yeah. Grealish then retweeted it and said, I said I wanted to take one. The gaffer has made so many right decisions through this tournament, and he did tonight, but I won't have people say that I didn't want to take a penalty when I said I will. ... i.e., he got over, Southgate said no, which is... just on that.
I was watching that, Joe, and I went straight on Twitter and I said, totally agree 100% with Roy Keane. Totally agree with him as a senior pro. And I had this row with Frank Clark. There was a young centre-back called Steve Johns. And he started magnificently. He was playing out of his skin. He weren't very big, but he was very mobile. And I remember an FA Cup tie against West Ham. He was absolutely outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. Anyway, we carried on. I come back from injury. We've had a couple of games. And there was a centre-back who went before me who used everybody else to paper over the cracks in his game, right? Well, I wasn't like that. Basically, I was giving Stevie John's top drawer advice, top drawer guidance, top drawer player coach sort of stuff, top drawer information. Then we got in at half time. We was probably getting beat again at half time. It all fucking kicked off. He dug out his usual punch bag, which was me. And he said, and I said, what about this, and this? I said, okay, if you want to go that route. Because it's only latter day that I come to realise, and then after him calling me into the office, certain players are taken for granted. And it's like I said on previous podcasts, he reached out to me recently and I said, well, you're no fucking good to me now. He said, I should have looked after your career more. I should have been more loyal to you. I should have made you better paid. I should have given you more guidance and helped you more. and supported you more. I said, well, I needed that fucking 25 years ago. And I needed that when I was a player. It's no good to me now. I drive a fucking cab. You know what I mean? Reaching out to me now. But sticking to the specific point, he said, you can't fucking say that. He said, he's a baby. Right? This is Clark. So I said to him, okay, Frank, all you need to do then is make your mind up. He said, with what? I said, well, he's either a baby or he's a first team player. What one is he? I said, because when I broke into the side at Chelsea, no one gave a fuck if I was a baby or not. This is how I spoke to him. This is what I said to him. No one give a fuck if I was a baby or not. And you sink or you swim. So you're either a first team player and you take a first team player's bollocking, right? And you've got to produce first team players' standards in training and games, or you're a baby. And then if you are a baby, how long do you let him be a baby? He fucking shut up like that, because I was 100% right. And what he should have done, Southgate, is protected the baby, right? It's no good putting your arm around him afterwards when he's fucking in floods of tears. What you do is you protect him and you say, whether they fucking want it or not, you get your senior pros together first. Maguire stood up and was counted, right? Walker, he's been known dead ball. Trippier, he took off. What I said to you, he took him off.
Sure.
You got him on free kicks in Russia, bending one in the top corner, but you don't trust him in 12 yards. What's that about, right?
Short's fucking phenomenal dead ball.
Right, yeah, sure. Grealish. So you've got Stones. So you've got a good at least 3 in front of 2 that missed.
Yeah.
And the other one was a clusterfuck, and I've said it in the past. Man United supporters. Joe,
I know.
I'm fucking serious about this.
I know.
I'm serious about this. I've had no fucking respect, and what it is, it's like, I'd say 30% respect, 30% credibility, 40% knowledge. I've got the 40% knowledge, but I've never had the respect or the credibility. Yeah. And it's fucking outrageous that I've never been paid that due. You understand? I said when he missed a penalty for Man United, he don't want to be fucking making a habit of that, because if I was the manager, I'd say you're not on penalties anymore. I said to my wife, she said, why is he starting like that? I said, he's starting like that, but he won't end up like that. I said, he starts off in a straight line through the ball to the goal. Then what'll happen is he'll shuffle to his left, then he'll go up and he'll have a little stuttered fucking quick feet. Then he'll stop and do a skip a la Jorginho. And then like last night, right? Because he wants to be the fucking next big thing with these idiosyncrasies on fucking FIFA Max, whatever you call the fucking game bullshit, right? I said what he'll do a little jump like Jorginho and then try and commit the goalkeeper and send it the other way. So what it is, in a nutshell, right? In a nutshell, listen, you're concentrating, son, more on your fucking run-up than you are on a clean strike of the ball. Punch it low and hard in the corners. Simple. Low and hard in the corners where the goalkeeper can't get to it.
Well, look at what Maguire did.
Fucking start in a straight line. Then pull to your left like you're fucking Johnny, what's his name? Wilkinson. Who's the rugby? Who?
Wilkinson.
Wilkinson. What, all that fucking bollocks. Start straight, pull to your left. Pulls, jump, kick, post, head in hands.
Strictly come dancing, isn't it?
I said on Twitter, elaborate run up equals fuck up.
Well, look at Maguire. Fucking just strummed it in the top corner.
Perfect.
Run up and smash it.
Get up to the ball, pick a spot, get up to the ball, get good contact on the ball, punch it in the corner.
Has anyone ever saved a penalty like Maguire's? Never. It's impossible for a keeper to save that penalty.
He took him like that. He took him like that, Alan Shearer. He took him like that. I'll go back to when Alan Ball was at Arsenal and I was standing on the North Bank with my dad, or if I went on my own, I was in the kids section, right? And what he used to do, he'd do like a sort of a bent run up. He'd approach the ball like that, and Alan Ball would just he'd pass it inside himself. So it looks like he's going in that corner, which is the shortest route, by the way, if you're going to do that run up to the goalkeeper's left. But he used to make out to go to the goalkeeper's left, and then he stood it up and it hit high in the stanchion, top corner in the other corner. So he's passing inside himself. He's disguise, what they call disguise. And he was brilliant at it. But what you said, you ain't going to save it up there.
You can't. And no. I mean, the thing is, this is.
It was too cold. It was too cold. Him and Sancho were too cold.
Yeah.
Like Grealish, I looked at it And this, you say 99 minutes. I think it was 98 and a few seconds. So I said 22 minutes ain't long enough for Jack to have an impact, right? And then if you bring him on for longer, right, he's got to take one of the penalties. Then he brought the others on just to take penalties. What's that about? Well, we're fucking American football now.
Well, do you think it's? Do you think he's telling the truth that he chose the penalty takers?
Yeah,
you do because they do well in training.
Yeah, that's where it's what I said to people on the thing. And they said about Foden. I said, well, he picked up an injury in training camp, and he didn't want to risk him because he's another one. I would have had him in front of Mount. I would have had him in front of Saka. In terms of preference, I'd have gone. In terms of bringing subs on, I'd have started with maybe someone like Sancho, and then in terms of bringing subs on, I'd have gone Foden for Sancho or Sterling, and Grealish for the other one.
Yeah.
You understand? So they're coming on because what it is, I said, when it's going against you, you need balls to make the changes, but it's got to be the right changes. And the reason for the changes, my wife said, well, what we're talking, I don't go in bars and all that. I like to concentrate on the game and study the game. I don't want all the shouting all over and fucking beer going all over it. I can't have all that, right? So I'm a little bit boring like that.
No, I just said.
All I said, Joe, was the reason for you're looking at a substitute is to affect the game. And what's happened is when you bring them on, how they can affect the game is by seizing the taking back the initiative from the Italians. And the way you take the initiative back is through a different tempo and different dynamics. And what I mean by different dynamics is someone with different aspects to his game. So if you ask me, do I choose Grealish or Mount? I'll go Grealish, 1,000,000%. If you say to me, do you go like Foden or Saka? I'll say, well, I'll go Foden because he's got league-winning experience, and he's capable of a goal and like threading a pass through, and he goes infield and outfield. Whereas Saka tended to concentrate playing in the outside tranche.
I don't know if you noticed as well. Obviously, Saka's all left foot, Sterling's all right foot. And they had him on both opposite sides of the pitch. And so they was all naturally coming in, congesting the midfield, not spreading the play, making the pitch wider.
You know what that is? There's two reasons for that. One is to get inside and get involved in three reasons. One is to get inside and get involved in combination play with the nearest midfield player and the centre forward. Like I said, I thought he had a very disappointing tournament, Kane. One is to explode a shot. Number two is to explode a shot. Number three is as you're doing it, you're clearing the space for the fullback to get up and join in, or even rotate with the nearest midfield player. So as you come in field, you're clearing the space with or without the ball.
Yeah.
They're the reasons for that. Playing the left footer on the right and the right footer on the left.
Not sure it worked, but the other. Just another tweet that I thought, I don't know what your thoughts are of Gary Lineker, but I thought he was spot on here. I'll just read out his tweet, see what you think. This was straight after the game. Obviously, he just presented the programme. He said, I think going forward, England have to find a way of being more attack-minded, braver in possession and throwing more people forward. We have the forward talent to scare teams. At present, we seem scared ourselves to release the talent. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I suppose it's not a bad analysis of what went on. It's almost as if we took a 1-0 lead and we shocked ourselves. We took a 1-0 lead and we became cautious. We took a 1-0 lead and we were surprised. We took a 1-0 lead and we thought, oh, what do we do now?
It did seem like that, didn't it? It did.
Yeah.
You know,
other teams, they just, what it is,
win 3-0.
You used the word about relentless. So when you come against, when they had us under the cosh, the Italians, they're fucking, I just said to me, Missy, look at this. You understand?
Yeah, I do.
And then if it looked like the ball was going to be pinched back and we might get it on the break, they'd say, okay, I'll go down injured or I'll take you out of the game and we'll stop the game, tactical fouls. Right? So it's all these ingredients. It's like I said to you, more variables. I said it in my book. There's more variables in the sport of professional football than any other sport on the planet.
Mm.
Right? And you've got to bring all these ingredients together, and you need players who buy into it and have a very high football IQ. And like I say to you, with regards to him, Kane, again, you've got to look at what supply did he get in his defence a little bit, because I think he had a very, at best, mediocre tournament. I'm sorry if that's overcritical or harsh, but in his defence, what supply did he get?
Well, let's be fair. When you look at really what Southgate's first choice central midfield is, Mount, Phillips, and Rice. Okay, Mount is more advanced, but that's 3 defensive midfielders.
Yeah.
So basically, you got fullbacks that have to get forward. Well, for the first few games, Walker, when he was playing right fullback, didn't get forward at all. It was only Shaw, wasn't it? The only threat we had from fullbacks was Shaw. So that's neutered 50% of our play to try and connect to our forward line. It was just like, I think you said in a couple of podcasts before, we had fits and starts of pressure throughout the tournament, whereas the top teams have 60-70% pressure. We probably had 10 or 20.
I used to call when I was, we had them under pressure. What about the pressure there? People coming up with semi-excuses, really, when I was a coach or manager. And I said, what we need to work on is not just putting teams under pressure. We need to work on putting them under sustained pressure. That's where you share the ball from side to side, and you get your rotations, your overlaps, your underlaps going. And inevitably, you've got to end. So what I put to you is this, Joe. You've got to end with a cross or a shot. So you need accountability with regards to your wide men. So if he's going to go 3 centre-backs and then, like you said, 3 midfield players, which I don't think he did particularly well, Mount, to get up against Italy's 3 central midfield players, because they started going into areas where Phillips is looking, he's covering the ground, and you could see as he's doing it, he's just checking, should I be going in here? Rice was the same. And then when he did, he got rolled and out-muscled for a couple of things, right? But if you're going to go with 3-3, right, then what I'd say is you go with 3-3, then 2. So you've got people who, one, involved in the link-up play, right? Or if not, they can both help, what we say, flood the box, and then your width has got to come from your 2 remaining players, and it didn't.
Yeah, no, and I mean, again, it'd just be interesting, just to be my view. But if you're going to play those 2 holding midfielders and arguably a semi-defensive midfielder in Mount, in terms of his job is to prevent Verratti and Jorginho getting on the ball. Yeah. Surely the fullbacks have got to cheat. Our fullbacks, I mean, just to get forward.
Yeah.
Because Rice and Phillips can always cover in them wide positions, presumably. Yeah. But it's like they can't. I mean, when you actually think about it, it's insane. You've got 3 centre-halves, you've got 2 wing-backs who, like you say, cat and mouse, not sure whether to go, not sure whether to come back. You've got 2 older midfielders. You've got Mount basically ensuring their defensive midfielders don't get on the ball. That leaves 2 offensive players in the side. Yeah. You can't win a game with 2 offensive players.
No. And yet it was praised for his conservative approach in all the previous games.
I know.
Whereas I said, just watch this space, because if we come up against someone with a bit of pedigree, and although it went to penalties, I just thought to myself, you just get that gut feeling. Yeah. You could see it ebbing away. Slipping away. You understand what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and that could be, we use the analogy of the anaconda, you said the thumb screw, that pressure just ratcheting up all the time. And we were the ones under the cosh. Yeah. And we, in the life, got sucked out of us, didn't it? And so I guess then, to put a positive spin on it, and I think hopefully the viewers and likes and, the guys that like us and subscribe to you on YouTube, this isn't I don't think anyway, a dig at the England team or Southgate. I think what they've achieved has been remarkable. It's just, I don't know, it's a way to look at how we can improve. Because I'm sure you'll say it's all about how we can improve.
That's all the game is, isn't it, Joe?
Yeah,
100%. I couldn't agree more. You're spot on. That's all it ever is. That's all it ever is on Twitter. It's all it ever is on here. And when people say, I think that's a bit harsh. When I was talking about Declan Rice, they're saying, well, no, for West Ham, and it's like I said to you in the previous podcast, well, surely that's my point. He drives forward for West Ham. He hits 40-yard balls. He makes numbers up in the box. He lets shots fly. Well, that's how he got picked for England. So why ain't he doing it for England? Why is he looking backwards and sideways all the time? get it as soon as you win it. Look round the corner, bump a little outside of your boot round the corner to Kane or round the corner to Sterling, who I thought was one of our players or our player of the tournament. Kyle Walker, renaissance. I was with Roy Keane. He's had a fantastic renaissance, and he basically blew everything out of the water. What the likes of Roy Keane and my. I said in agreement, which is he's making the same. He's 31. He's making the same mistakes now as he's always done. He's got to get a grip. I thought he was fantastic. Trippier has made his contribution. I thought the centre backs were exemplary. I thought Ryan Shaw was fantastic with some of his crosses. I looked at Phillips' revelation, probably one of the greatest finds. Over like really maybe a decade, in terms of how he acquitted himself. And then the youngsters are going to gain experience from it. So there was like loads and loads and loads of pluses. What they've got to do now is maybe cut away the dead wood who have had a few tournaments. I'm thinking the likes of Henderson. Came on, I thought he had a fucking nightmare when he came on.
He did, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
And really did. And yeah, I thought he should come on. I thought he should have come on. So, he didn't do it.
Come on through, and why?
Well, I didn't think at least he looks offensively to pass. He passes forward. He has his head up and he tries to affect the game. And I think it needed someone with experience who played in top level games and played in tournament football to give our players a head a wobble and say, look, I'm going to close down them centre midfielders, be a bit dynamic and be a leader. I think we needed a leader in the middle. Let's be honest. Rice, Phillips, and Mount are three players who are very young and inexperienced, who, when the going gets tough against Italy in a final of a major championship, need help. I think he could have provided that help, but I don't think he did.
Yeah.
That was my thinking.
Well, that help I think should come from the likes of Maguire and Stones, who like, again, we've got to give ourselves a pat on the back early at the start of the season. We were talking about Stones, and then I said, like, he if he gives a tug to a coach at City and says, like, I've got to get back to doing a few bits and pieces on my own in the afternoon, just basics, first contact on the ball, marking, retreating and marking in the box, work on his clearances, his heading, his one-touch volleys, or his one-touch clearances with his feet, not being over-elaborate with the ball. Magnificent season for City, and I thought he was outstanding for England.
And when you think about... Sorry, but go on.
Go on. No,
I was going to say, when you think about it, as you mentioned Maguire then, but when you think about it, neither of them put a foot wrong the whole tournament. How rare is that? Yeah. I can't think of one of them making one mistake or doing something wrong. I don't know if you thought that, but
it bodes really well. Start bedding in Reece James. You've got Trent Alexander-Arnold. Yeah. You've got the other kid at Liverpool. I think Trippier and Kyle Walker both got one more tournament in them. I think they can go to Qatar. I think they've acquitted themselves magnificently, as long as they look after themselves. Sure. Maybe Chilwell will come into the equation to give them a bit of competition. Yeah. Phillips and Rice, pluses. Sterling, I said, England's player of the tournament, massive plus. Proved the doubters wrong. I just think, like the other two positions, I think we need the competition for centre forward. And then right-sided midfield player. I still think we should just work on specific formations that are going to give, and that's where I was disappointed. I thought he changed it too early, too soon, to accommodate the Italians. You know what I mean? But there's loads of little stuff. If you get it right, it's one of them, isn't it? A Rise Sagaroff. He's got it wrong. He might have to wait a bit longer.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just well, I don't say just lastly, but just to sort of look forward, I guess, with Qatar in mind. It's only a year away, and I guess that could be a blessing in disguise, because 2 years, that's another 2 years on some of our senior players' age, and a lot of these players will want to rectify the disappointment of the final, presumably, and they've only got to wait one season, and then it's a build up to Qatar and the World Cup. But with that in mind, how do you think we'll get on, and what sort, do you think we'll become more offensive and be more of an attacking threat in Qatar?
Yeah, well, we've got to. We've got to. And there's no doubt he's right what he said. We've got, and it ties in what Ian Wright said, and I couldn't agree more. It's we've got to learn to be more relentless, and it's a mindset.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's like I said, we were almost shocked and surprised that we took the lead, and it was like, what do we do now? What you do, you go and get another one. Keep your shape, keep your discipline, and go and get another one, and keep pulling the Italians narrow, and then switch, and then flood the box, etc.
It's so interesting, isn't it? I mean, you think they'd have sports scientists. I mean, I'm sure sports psychologists. Because you're right, it did seem like that.
Well, they've got them, haven't they? It's like the geezer. He's meant to be. I think he's a sweaty. The geezer was a sweaty, and you show him with a fucking iPad back at the thing I think it was the Russia thing, and you've got Harry Kane looking over his shoulder. You've got all these people crowding around him, and he's going da-da-da. And he's the self-proclaimed world's best forward coach.
Oh, right.
Or you could have done with him teaching them to score from 12 yards last night. You know what I mean? Joe, really and truly, it's all what I'm saying to you. The point I'm trying to make sarcastically is it's all bollocks. You understand? I know. It's about the fundamentals. It's about bedding in the fundamentals, and it's about yet again. It's about a culture. The Italians have got the culture. We haven't got the culture. We've never had the culture. Never. Through the golden generation, through the superstars of the 70s, who thought they were doing everyone a favour getting paid to play football. And, they're right. I was guilty of it. You think the fucking club's training and games revolve around your social arrangements. That's how it was in the 70s. That's why there's so many fucking alkies. You know what I mean? The 80s the same, the 90s the same. It's a culture. It's a culture. They're taught to do certain things from a very young age and to live a certain way from a very young age. It's a culture. And it's what I've always said, and it's what I was fucking ridiculed for at a borderline non-league club. And until it changes, what it does, it gives me another 400 and odd days of life, because I've said, I've gone balls on the table years ago, England won't win anything in my lifetime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we've come very, very close.
Yeah, we've come within and that's...
Yeah. So I might have to have a rethink on that statement, because I deserve to live at least as long as my dad.
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting you say that. Whereas you could imagine the Italians expect to win, whereas we expect to lose. And we're surprised to win, and the Italians are surprised to lose.
Oh, we were surprised to take a lead. You see the thing, you see everyone go, you know what I mean?
Yeah, rabbit
the eyes when they're going, okay, yeah, boom, and now let's go and get another one.
Yeah.
Now let's go and get another one. It's almost if we're better at going behind, like we did against Denmark.
Do you think we'll have a good? Do you think we'll build on this? I know
yeah, people saying to me on Twitter, surely it's going to be harder, and I go, well, hold on. Unlike last time, unlike the Russia World Cup when they were going on about this and this and this, and fucking Brazil they went home early, someone else never made it, Argentina never made it, the Dutch never made it, and they said about England this. I said, well, don't you think all these countries are going to be doing the same as us, looking to improve, looking to have a group of coaches brainstorming, and looking to have people affiliated to their different associations who are going to help. Obviously taking into account what I've said before, every sports science is on an even kill. Although I will say very quickly, as an aside, I thought the Italians looked sharper and fitter than us in certain areas. Their conditioning looked better, right? But sports science is more or less, we're on a level playing field right across the world, with the exception of maybe a few African nations. Then what you've got to do is approach it, make sure you don't get a smack in the eye from an African nation, one of the emerging African nations. We've shown that we can handle the best of Europe, and they basically, you're going to have a situation like we did where they're going to knock each other out, and then we might have a certain thing, and we've just got to take care of our own thing. Like I've always said, club and country, you've got to have your own agenda. So you take care of your own shit. Don't worry about what's going on over the garden fence. You worry about your own back garden, keep your own backyard clean and tidy, right? And then all you've got left is the South Americans, right? So then what you do, you play them at their own game, which we started to do. With regards to the possession, if you're looking at the Brazilians, what I'd like to see is a bit more toughness, like the Colombians put themselves about against us in the last World Cup. Team of thugs, really. Match them for that. And then the cynicism, like I said, this Frankenstein hybrid player I wanted at Leyton Orient, the cynicism of an Argentinian.
Yeah.
Don't be ashamed to commit tactical fouls. Then when they go, because what it is, it's like reverse psychology, and then it becomes a false modesty, which we're not entitled to. Oh, we don't really like playing England. Oh, we didn't really want this draw. Of course they want this fucking draw. They're rubbing their hands when they pull England out the hat. Because it's one of the things. We can either outplay them, bully them, or out physical them, or spoil the game, turn it ugly and win 1-0.
Yeah, and I guess, with our forward players, the thing they should be shitting themselves about is, fuck me, England could be 3-0 up in 30 minutes if they're at it. How Liverpool used to do, a couple of seasons ago and they won the league, absolutely fucking blitz teams in the first 30 minutes, game's over. Shut up, shot 5 at the back.
Then have your breather after 70 minutes when you're 3-0 up.
Yeah. And we, like you say, we did it against Italy, but we scored 1 goal and then we retreated. We should have fucking carried on relentlessly till half time, trying to get 2, trying to get 3. But let's hope it happens.
Only he knows why he changed the formation. Him and the geezer, the coaching guru from Newcastle. Because I have not got a fucking clue. I'd have stepped in and I've gone, no, if it had been me, if I'd have been Holland, I'd have stepped in and gone, no, I don't agree. We started well, right? We've started well. When they've had a thing, we've contained them, and we're still giving them. What you got to do, Joe, is you got to keep giving them marking problems. You understand? Yeah. You got to nullify their game and affect their and affect your game.
So just on that though, because he obviously brought Saka on for Trippier, so took a right wing back off and brought an attacking midfielder / winger on. Would you have kept the same formation but made a change, or just left it as it was? And would you have made a change before? I know it's easy to say now, but would you have made a change half time or
100% the first one?
Yeah.
100% the first one. Kept the same shape but changed the personnel.
And
like
when do you think you'd have made that change? Just out of interest.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, because I'll tell you what.
Time?
Listen, I'm a lot better explaining myself coming from my angle than you are coming from his angle. Right? You're coming from his angle. He said, "I'll take responsibility." Yeah. Right? But we all know he was too conservative.
Yeah.
Right? And he was too cautious.
Yeah.
Because it served him well throughout the tournament. But when it come on top, right, he was still too conservative. Never had the balls. Right? Coming from my way, I'll say, well, listen. I thought it was right to do this. I thought I showed a bit of initiative. In brackets, I showed a bit of balls and a bit of courage. All right? And we got beat. But at least we got beat going down with a fight.
Yeah.
You understand? Doing the absolute everything we could possibly do with regards to... See, if look at the game, Joe, in a nutshell, right? Look at the game. Did we blitz some shots? Was the goalkeeper parrying it round the post and blood? Was there loads of last-ditch tackles? A couple, right? Was there crosses going across the face of their goal? The answer is no, no, and no.
Agreed.
Right? So what I'm saying is show a bit of bottle, right? I ain't saying throw caution to the wind. I ain't saying lose your discipline. Keep your discipline, right? But that's where I'd have been coming from. And I'd have made changes a lot sooner with players who I thought could, like I said, change the dynamic, the initiative, recapture and reinforce and recapture the initiative, change the dynamics of the game and change the tempo of the game.
Yeah.
Right, then those 3 criteria, right, what they do is they help the be all and end all in terms of the criteria, which is come on and make it affect the game and make an impact.
Yeah. Outcome. Yeah,
outcome. So it's back to that outcome. What we said previously.
I mean, it's a simple sort of message or a simple mantra. It's fucking don't let it go at penalties. If you're gonna lose, lose in 90.
Yeah, that's my preference.
Sure it don't go. Or win.
Yeah.
Because it's a lottery. I mean, why would you bank on a toss of a coin when you've got the tools in your armory?
Yeah.
To not let it go to a toss of a coin, because that's what penalties are, really. And not only that, it's worse than toss of a coin because mentally we struggle with it.
We ain't got a great record,
No.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else you want to say?
Nah, it's like I said on Twitter yesterday. Once is chance / coincidence. Once is chance, twice is coincidence, third is a pattern. Whereby a lot of the stuff we've said on here, I either know what I'm talking about, or someone's watching it, a researcher on behalf of a pundit, in brackets S pundits, and they're repeating somewhat we come out with. So it's a little bit spooky and a bit eerie. But I like it because it means we're coming from a good place and we're talking a bit of sense between us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm here to get it. It's all in your head. I'm just here to get it out, and it's quite a good little underground podcast for a pundit on the telly, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tap
But
into us.
the FA could have had it for a decent wage from 1997, and they could have had it all on a fucking silver platter, all of it. In terms of they get their money back. In terms of whatever they paid me, they'd get their money back tenfold. 50-fold, 25-fold, 100-fold. You know what I mean? With regards to changing courses, with regards to changing syllabus. And I'll give everyone a clue. The thing I mentioned earlier about Harry Kane. I've seen it happen with him too often at club and international level. And he's like basically a duck on a pig farm. You understand? Completely out of sorts, out of thing. What do I do? Where should I be? Who should I be screening? What am I doing here? Completely redundant and a waste of time. And it led to the goal yet again. So, yeah.
Well, we ain't got long until the league starts.
Charity Shield, 7th, isn't it?
7th, is it? 7th of August, yeah. Okay, so less than a month. So we'll, what do you want to do? Have a little, have a breather for a couple of weeks and then start again?
Entirely up to you, mate. Yeah, I don't mind. Whatever's convenient for you. You know, I'll work around you.
All right, we'll see how we go.
I'll work around you. Yeah, it's not as if I'm losing bundles of dough not going out in the cab.
Well, maybe we can do some different stuff then in the off season, and maybe it's a good chance to hear from your followers and subscribers and likers, and see what they want. Because
by all means,
tournament's over, and
feel free.
Yeah, please do
pose questions.
Pose questions, and I can't, as I say, on behalf of myself, but possibly on behalf of John. Can't thank you enough for the nice comments, and it's just brilliant to know that you guys are liking what you hear. So we'll keep on doing it and see where it takes us, John.
Yeah, all good.
Okay. All right. Well, it's a goodbye from me. And
thanks everyone.
Cheers.
And thanks to you, Joe, because I always thank them on behalf of both of us. Thanks for giving up your time.
Oh, mate, it's fine. And I say I'll always try and make myself available, and I really enjoy it. And as I say, the main thing is to enable your intelligence and know-how to be listened to and understood by the wider audience, because I think it's important. I really do, and so I'm pleased to help. But yeah, all right, guys.
Watch, like, subscribe, share.
Yeah, somewhere under there.
That's what we need. All on all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
All right, guys. All the best. See you next in the close season.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.